Hi, back again on the, let me check the time here. Okay. With the next part of my life after death discussion, um, tying in with my personal experiences of proving at least to myself that life after death is a fact. It's not a theory, absolute fact as far as I'm concerned. Because I not only have brought back memory of visiting the other side, seeing the various levels of consciousness, but also just studying various other people's experiences, different books, and it all points to the same thing. There's no question. It goes on. Life goes on. So the big question is, why are we here? And my own theory is that, based on what I already know, is that we're here to learn and to grow and to expand in consciousness. And it can't all be accomplished in one short life. It takes many, many lifetimes. And eventually we're on the right to ascend to the higher spiritual levels, and we no longer have to return to this physical plane, which I think everyone will agree is quite difficult. We go through a lot here. Now we can choose to waste our life, and I think life is a precious gift, really. I believe there's a lot of souls just waiting for the opportunity to come in and attempt to make some progress. And so we've been given a body, and we've been given a span of life, however long it is, to try to make the progress that we need to make. But we have free will. We can choose to just do whatever we want, basically. We can, choose to become an addict or criminal or whatever and just waste the whole time. Or we can make a serious attempt to make some progress. And that takes developing the spiritual within ourselves. I'm not talking about religion, although religion certainly can play a very important part for those who feel the need to belong to a specific religious group. But it's not necessary. It's by your works you shall be known, not by your beliefs or belief systems. If you think about it, as a God, why would he care what you believe or don't believe about him or about how to worship him or whatever? I think he'd be far more interested in what you accomplish, how you treat your fellows. Are you kind? Are you considerate? Are you patient? Or are you the opposite of those things? Are you selfish, care only about yourself, and those sort of things? It's important to try to develop the spiritual part of ourselves and minimize the mortal or human part. And the mortal will take over. It'll have its way if you let it. It requires some discipline. So, but tied in with all, and the reason for all of this too is that when we do pass over from this life, as I said before, the soul takes us to the level we have earned for ourselves. We earn every step of the way. God has no favorites. We have to earn it. And it's not just given to us. So the way to earn it is to do the things that I said, to try to do the right thing by people. And again, you're not going to You're going to fail from time to time. So that's part of the human condition. You're not expected to be perfect. But the important thing is to try to do the best you can each day with what's handed to you. And even little things like being considerate in traffic, I mean, it sounds silly, but you change lanes, you don't signal the guy behind you. He's not expecting to move, all of a sudden you move over, and you don't give him any warning. You're going to change lanes or make a left turn or an exit. It's a danger to you and danger to him, but people are just so wrapped up in their own thoughts and their own self that a lot of times these days they don't bother with things. I think it's not important. And but it's little things like that that add to who you are, what kind of character you are, if you are considerate about other people. And but anyway, I've deviated from. I was going to go into all the, my experiences and so forth, and time's getting on. And I wanted to discuss it. I mentioned this book the last time by Mike Jean. It's called The Design Matrix. Mike is obviously an academic, and he puts some very terrific arguments for the very early primitive cells that appeared when life first began on Earth. How everything was what he calls front-loaded, things that wouldn't be needed for hundreds of millions of years later, like globin, I mentioned before. I'll give you a brief description of what he says. As the designer, which would be God, it is time to face the most serious problem for the hypothesis that evolution is front-loaded. You have seen there are ways we can generally direct evolution as a consequence of carefully choosing our starting material and original architecture. In one sense, if life is designed and designed quite well, some amount of front-loading is inevitable and is a direct consequence of the design solutions that are implemented. I will call this passive front-loading. With passive front-loading, ancient designs are retained for billions of years, even expressing themselves in new context while not being significantly improved upon by this immense span of evolutionary tinkering. Extremely useful high information proteins and protein complexes, along with the cell's basic architecture and genetic code, constitute passive front-loading, as a designer could count on them being present in the descendants of the originally designed state. Now, he mentions, for example, as a designer, how might it be possible to indirectly design a mammal-like organism by designing single-celled life forms? Because of their size and metabolism, mammal-like organisms are going to require many things not necessary to single-celled organisms. For example, plenty of oxygen to derive the electron transport chain, something that was also designed and expected to be passed on due to passive front-loading. So part of the design problem is providing a means of delivering this oxygen to all the cells of a multicellular creature. While you're crafting a unicellular creature, this would include something akin to blood and a means of delivering the blood. It is a hard problem, but we have to start somewhere. Because of the designer's extensive understanding of protein biochemistry, say you have found or designed something like globin, a spectacular blood protein that serves the purpose of oxygen delivery almost perfectly. Globin, which is used only in red blood cells, has the ability to reversibly bind oxygen, making it useful for picking up oxygen, delivering it, and unloading it. So you endow some of your original life forms with globin to be used millions of years later in the blood of some mammal-like organism. Now you face the full brunt of the design problem. Unless globin serves your original microbes, it is functionless. If it is functionless, natural selection will not remove the mutations from the population of microbes. Effectively, your globin gene could be called junk DNA and would decay rapidly into oblivion. So how do you preserve globin for hundreds of millions of years so that it is present when the biosphere is ready to evolve mammal-like organisms? Worse yet, how do you design the machinery for blood vessel formation in a single-celled organism without blood or blood vessels. Do not despair, there are strategies. So, I think my 10 minutes is probably about up, so I'll continue in a minute. I'm going to cut off and make another segment.